This hour brought to you by GCNLife.com. Now a hair growth product with natural ingredients and fast results. Reveal from GCNLife.com.
Black holes, the cosmos, space, and time travel, science and technology. Brought to you by theoretical physicist, futurist, popularizer of science, and world-renowned author, Professor Michio Kaku.
And GCNLive.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. On Science Fantastic, we profile the amazing, jaw-dropping scientific discoveries which are revolutionizing our world and touching our lives. Well, in Science Fantastic, we've had a number of people talking about astronomy, outer space, the origin of the universe, black holes, the possibility of time travel. But in this segment, we're not going to be talking about outer space. We're going to be talking about inner space. We're going to be talking about your body. Is it really true that your body is a mishmash of evolutionary mistakes? We tend to think, after looking at figure skating or ballet or the Olympics, that the human body is the height of evolutionary perfection. We like to think that our bodies are just really like a fine-tuned machine. But do we also have the legacy of all sorts of evolutionary mistakes? Well, with us today is Professor Nathan Lentz, Professor of Biology at John Jay College of the City University of New York, and is the author of a new book. A great book, hard to put down. The book is called Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. So we're going to talk today about how all the different kinds of mistakes that evolution made on the way to create the human body. Also, if you want to know more about Science Fantastic, go to my website. It's mkaku.org, mkaku.org. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, we have 3 million fans on Facebook. On Twitter, we have 675,000 fans on Twitter. And find out about how you can find out about my speaking schedule. Recently, I was in Australia and New Zealand on a tour, and in fact, we had a sellout audience. We sold out every single seat in the Opera House in Sydney, Australia. You know, every time you see a picture of Sydney, you see a picture of the iconic Opera House in the harbor in Australia. Well, we sold it out in our tour. Also, you can see references to the 4 New York Times bestsellers that I've written, including The Future of the Mind, talking about how science is probing into the thinking brain itself. Also, The Future of Humanity, talking about the future of the space program. Also, Physics of the Impossible, talking about the possibility of time travel, of starships and teleportation, and then also Physics of the Future, talking about the future of artificial intelligence and our society. So once again, our special guest today is Professor Nathan Lentz, author of an exciting new book, Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. Okay, Nathan, glad you could be on Science Fantastic.
It is my pleasure to join you. I'm a big fan.
Okay, first question for you is, how did you, as a young kid, first get interested in biology and then molecular biology?
Well, I think like most scientists, as a kid, I was always interested in how things work. And so I think probably someone like you, Michio, would take apart your electronic devices and stuff. I was more interested in the body, the human body, and other living things. And I always sort of wanted to know how it all worked, how it all came together. And like many who have interests like that, I thought I might have been drawn into a career of medicine. But when I got to college especially, I realized that I wasn't so much interested in treating diseases as making new discoveries about just the basics of how the body works. So that's really how I got my start, is just an interest in the body.
And how did you get interested in all the imperfections and the frustrations of the human body?
Well, that's a great story, too, because I was actually doing research on the human genome, looking for elements that are involved in cancer. And I noticed after weeks and weeks of just going blind on all of these stretches of A's and C's and G's and T's, that's the language of DNA, just going blind in all these and realizing that almost none of what I was looking at had any function. Almost none of it mattered at all. And it seemed like this went against what we were always taught about evolution, as evolution, fine-tuning our bodies to make them perfectly adaptive for our environment. But actually, that's not really true at all. That's probably the biggest misconception about evolution that I'm pushing back on in this book, is that evolution actually doesn't really care so much about getting things exactly right. It's just a matter of getting you to the point of reproduction. We are just a vehicle for our genes, and lots of inefficiency it can be tolerated in a system like that. And so we have a genome that is just piled up with useless garbage and the remnants of past infection. And unless they're really killing you or preventing you from reproducing, evolution has no way to get rid of it. And so the vast majority of species will end in extinction as a lot of these errors accumulate. But it started with my look in the genome, because I'm a molecular biologist, so I look at DNA sequences all the time, and I just found incredible inefficiency there. But as I was researching the book, I turned to anatomy first, and I found out there's lots of little quirks there, and it was almost like every area that I looked for, that I looked in, I could find all kinds of little funny mismatches and quirks or seams, glitches, however you want to think about it, just to the point where it makes you scratch your head and wonder, how did we make it this far?
Okay, well, let's start with a few glitches that we learned when we're in high school. The fact that when we learn about our anatomy, we learn that we have a tailbone. Why do we have a tailbone? Because once upon a time, we had a tail. And also, we have an appendix. The appendix is rather useless. You can live without it. In fact, it gets inflamed. It almost can kill you sometimes. But the appendix means that our diet was once perhaps grass and things that were quite filthy. But anyway, tell us a little bit about some of the remnants of our evolutionary history and why we still carry them.
Well, the two examples that you just mentioned are actually perfect, because each one of them really tells us not just about our past, but about our present and about how evolution actually works. So let's begin with the tailbone. So our ancestors, the monkeys, so our deep ancestors, had tails. And then as apes evolved, they lost their tail. So that's really the definition of an ape, is a primate that does not have a tail. So none of the apes have tails. And so what happened is the tail regressed and regressed and regressed once it wasn't being used anymore. Because once you're not using a structure, it's a liability. Anybody with a dog has probably realized that you can injure that tail. It can get broken. It can get cancer even. So a tail is actually a liability if you're not using it all the time. But what's interesting is once it regressed all the way to the skin, there was no need to regress it any further. So we have that stump that's left that doesn't go away because it can't get injured because it's all the way sort of in your body. Now, of course, you can bruise your tailbone, and this happens. And in fact, it can get cancer, even not very commonly, but it does happen. And what we know is that if you remove someone's tailbone because it got cancer, they have no symptoms. That's called a coccygectomy, and they have no problem sitting, standing, walking, no problem with continence or anything like that. The tailbone really is useless. But I think the most fascinating part about the tailbone is that you also have something called the pyramidalis muscle, that if you did have a tail, you would be able to flex it. So you have the remnants of a muscle, actually a fully formed muscle, that used to be used in our ancestors to move their tail. And if you take the example of the appendix, it's located right off of the cecum, which was almost certainly a reservoir of bacteria, as you mentioned, for digesting plant material. And we still have this structure. What's interesting, though, is when patients have their appendix removed, they do actually end up a little bit more susceptible to a disease called C. diff colitis. So it probably is still acting as a reservoir of
Okay, Nathan, we have to take a short commercial break, but after the break, we're going to continue with all the oddities of our own human body that we don't think about, but are there. Once again, you are listening to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku, and you can always give us a call at 612 822-564-8135 and ask that question on national radio. So give us a call.
Trading involves financial risk. It is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com or 888-212-8871.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. In this hour, we're going to demolish many of our prejudices and our biases concerning our own human body. We're not going to talk about outer space today. We're going to talk about inner space, the space of your own body. The book is called Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. With us today is Professor Nathan Lenz, Professor of Biology at John Jay College right here in New York City. Now, Nathan, we mentioned the tailbone, remnants of our evolutionary history. I talked to a doctor once who delivers babies, and he mentioned that sometimes babies are born with small tails. These tails really have no movement to them, but they clip them off because they don't want to, startle the mother about the fact that their baby was born with a very short tail. But isn't it true that, yes, we still have evolutionary remnants of our past?
Yeah, that's definitely true. And what it tells us is that the way that we lost the tail, for example, is by tweaking the developmental program that led to the tail and just sort of slowly shutting it off. But those switches are still there. And so sometimes they get activated in the reverse direction. We sometimes call that a revertant. And so the mutation actually reactivates a program that was shut down long ago in our past. And yes, these babies with some frequency are born with visible external tails. And then you remove them for a couple of reasons. It's mostly cosmetic. But also, as I said before, it's a liability to have that tail. It would be hard to put on pants, but it could also be pulled or ripped. It's not a good idea, actually, to have a tail if you're not using it for balance for climbing trees.
Okay, now I'm a physicist, and when I talk to engineers who design robots, they tell me that the human body is designed horribly, that if they're going to create a robot, they're not going to design a robot that looks like the muscular and skeletal structure of the human body. So let's talk about that for a moment, starting with the human knee, and then let's say a few things about the backbone as well. So isn't the knee, we think the knee is designed correctly, but you don't think so. Why?
Well, I think the knee does a pretty good job of the challenges that it has to do in our body. But if you remember that the knee evolved from a structure in a creature that was on all fours, the current structure actually makes a lot more sense if you think about that. And your analogy with an engineer is perfect, because an engineer gets to sit down with a piece of paper and design something from scratch, exactly as it needs to be for the challenge that's in front of it. But that's not what evolution gets to do. Evolution can take a body that exists and then make tiny tweaks to it. So you have to think about a robot. There is no robot that's ever been designed that has joints like our joints, because there's no reason to have 2 bones in the lower leg and 1 bone in the upper leg, and same with the arms, and have 7 bones in your wrist and 8 bones in your ankle that mostly don't even do anything. There's just no reason for that. They're there as a historical legacy from our past. And just looking at the backbone, I mean, if you wanted to have a structure, a rigid structure that held up the upper body, why would you make it in the shape of an S? Right? An engineer would design that as a rigid rod, because the S gives points of weakness, points that bulge in and then bulge out, and both of those are places where you can end up with a slipped disc. So when you have these little anatomical quirks, my book is not just like an encyclopedia entry. I look at each one of these quirks and say, what does it tell us? What can we learn about our past? And there's a lot to be gained by that, because when you consider how the body got to its current form, you can actually live in better harmony with it now. That's the thesis of my book.
Now, it seems to me that when you look at an ape, the ape walks on their knuckles in the forward direction, and their backbone is arched forward. But when we started to walk upright, we had to wrench our backbone the other direction, and that probably gave us the sway back, the S for the backbone, which looks very nice in ballet and figure skating, but is awful, absolutely awful from an engineering point of view, right? I mean, when you hit the age of 40, doesn't your back go out when you hit the age of about 40?
Yeah, that's exactly right, because what you have is in between each of your back bones, in between each vertebra, you have a little disc of cartilage, and that's there to sort of lubricate the 2 points of contact between the bone. But you can imagine if it's curved, and you continually stress that disc of cartilage, it pushes it outward and outward and outward and outward, and eventually it flips all the way out, and that's called a herniated disc or a slip disc. But that's not the only problem. Also, with our back, we have very weak attachments of the muscles in our back, and so most people with back pain, what they actually have is weak lower back muscles. And so it's almost like we evolved to walk upright, but never finished that job. We never finished the evolution. And so we have little marks of what it was like when we were on all fours. So, for example, our intestines are dangled from the back of our abdominal wall, not the top, from the back. And so the problem with that is, of course, that those mesenteries can tear, especially if you sit for long periods of the day. So truck drivers sometimes get these tears in their mesentery, because there's just so many examples of where our bodies are arranged as if gravity were pulling us forward instead of downward. And it's because our posture was, for millions of years, was more horizontal than vertical.
Okay, now you mentioned something that surprised me about the common cold. The fact that a dog has 200 times less frequent colds than a human being. So why is it that we're so prone to colds when dogs are not?
Well, they have much better designed sinus cavities. That's the short of it. Humans have a really funny system of sinus cavities in which we work against gravity to flow the mucus, and we also have to flow through tiny, tiny little tubes that are very easily clogged. So our flow of mucus in our sinus cavity, if it could run faster and through bigger holes, we would be fine. But what happens is it is so easy to clog our system of sinuses because we regressed all our sinuses up into our face, whereas dogs have them out in the snout where they have lots of room to do their work. But in the evolution of primates and then apes and then humans, we kept making those passages tighter and tighter and tighter up in our face, basically just to get our nose out of the way, to get our snout out of the way of our vision. And that came at a great cost. And you might ask, why doesn't evolution solve this problem? And the answer is you don't die of a common cold very often. So evolution doesn't evolve us to be healthy or happy, just to survive.
Now, it was once explained to me that that's why we snore. The fact that ancient humans had a snout, and therefore there was lots of room not to snore. But as our snout got shorter and shorter, it crammed everything back there, and that's why we snore, and dogs don't. In fact, the bulldog is one of the few dogs that actually snore because its snout has also been compressed. So perhaps snoring is yet another evolutionary remnant of our past, the fact that we snore but dogs don't.
Yeah, in fact, I would say that that's a perfect analogy, that our face is like the face of a pug or a Pekingese or a bulldog, where we jammed the sinus cavities up into the face instead of out in the snout. So that's a great analogy. I wish I had put that in the book. I did mention snoring, but not the Pekingese and the pug face. That's a great analogy, actually.
Okay, now speaking about breathing, the fact that we breathe and swallow through the same tubes, isn't that pose a mortal risk to humans? The fact that we can choke while some animals don't have that problem. But what are your thoughts about the fact that we breathe and swallow through the same tubes?
Right. So right off the bat, that's a bad design. And plenty of other animals do it differently, as you mentioned. Like dolphins don't have any problem with choking. And neither do birds or reptiles. Mammals, terrestrial mammals, have this common passageway for food, water, and air that's just problematic. But it's actually even worse than that. Humans have it worse even than our closest relative, because our voice box has migrated so high in our throat to accommodate speech that it makes it even more likely. So choking among human infants is way higher in humans than in any of the other apes. So we have it bad on a couple of fronts there.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned the fact that the body sometimes attacks itself, and that's why we have arthritis and autoimmune diseases. So isn't that really a strange byproduct of evolution, that our own genetics allows us to attack itself?
Yeah, that's right. Autoimmunity is really a conundrum. It's our immune system attacking our own body. And one disease that I talk about is lupus, where the immune system attacks the immune system. I mean, the immune system is literally attacking itself.
Okay, Nathan, we have to take yet another short commercial break. But after the break, we're going to continue a discussion of your book, Human Errors. And if you want to get on Science Fantastic, give us a call at 612-564-8135. Leave your name, call letters of the radio station you're listening to, and the city you're calling from. And maybe you can get on national radio. Give us a call.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Bags under the eyes, crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles are things adults complain about as they age. Now there's Instantly Ageless. It works in minutes and is great for men and women. Here's a clip from The Rachel Ray Show testing the results of Instantly Ageless.
Board-certified dermatologist Dr. Whitney Bowe.
If you're looking to try to turn back the clock on a budget, in the privacy of your own home, but actually there's some recent technologies emerging, almost like changes the behavior of the skin while it sits on the skin.
She went off to try a product called Instantly Ageless.
Yeah, instantly you could see a difference. Even the cameraman were like, wow, look at the difference.
Yeah,
but I would definitely use this product.
This product, within minutes of applying it, it was actually a very dramatic rejuvenation.
Try Instantly Ageless today at gcnlife.com. That's gcnlife.com. 30-day money-back guarantee and preferred price discount at gcnlife.com. That's gcnlife.com.
For P150, P150GA, P150NY, P150OK, P150TN, C250A, C250E, C250Q. Not available in all states. If New York or Colorado, call for a similar offer.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $150, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, call Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. 1-800-656-4686. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away. So you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired. Plus, you can choose any dentist you'd like. Call now for a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-656-4686. That's 1-800-656-4686. 1-800-656-4686.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Jake was in big trouble with the IRS. He owed how much?
$92,000.
Ouch. And the IRS left no room for Jake to breathe.
They put a lien on my house, took all the money out of my bank account, took money out of my paychecks. So it was a nightmare.
He needed help fast.
I figured that all these companies were the same until I called Federal Tax Management. You could just tell they knew what they were talking about. Right then and there, I felt like I had some hope.
Stop the liens, levies, and garnishments fast and qualify for one of several special IRS programs that could reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. So, how'd it go for Jake?
They did what they said they would do. They came through for me. I ended up saving an unbelievable amount. I was so jazzed. I was extremely happy.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, take Jake's advice.
Give Federal Tax Management a phone call. If they help me, they can help anybody.
Call the Federal Tax Management Hotline now. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. If you want to get on Science Fantastic, give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135. Leave your name. call letters of the radio station you're listening to, if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and maybe you can have your thoughts heard on almost 100 radio stations that carry Science Fantastic. Well, once again, our special guest today is the author of a new book, Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. And reading it is hard to put it down because we're talking about your own body. We tend to think that our body is the height of evolutionary perfection. When we look at ballet, we look at the Olympics, we marvel at the grace and beauty of the human being, until we compare ourselves to the animals. The animals can run faster than us. They would consider the Olympics a farce. They can fly. They can do all sorts of stuff that we cannot do. In fact, our body is essentially a patchwork of different kinds of fixes that evolution gave us, bandages in some sense, remnants of our ancient evolutionary past. And that's why we have Dr. Nathan Lenz with us to decipher these things. Now, before the break, we talked about the fact that we have yet another defect in our immune system. Sometimes the immune system goes run amok and it attacks itself. So tell us a little bit about arthritis and autoimmune diseases.
Yeah, so autoimmunity is responsible for some of the most common diseases that we have, including heart disease and atherosclerosis. While there's lots of things involved, it is clearly an immune reaction that causes those clogs in your arteries and the pain in your joints and a horrible disease called lupus, where the immune system attacks itself. One way I put it in the book is when you're fighting a war against yourself, you can't win. Either way, you lose. And a lot of these things, we really are only able to treat them with drugs that turn down the immune system, which, of course, are going to have some side effects. The main reason why we can't cure most autoimmune diseases is we don't have any idea why they happen in the first place. It doesn't make any sense. And while other animals get them too, humans seem to have it a little bit worse. And I think part of that is that our immunity is hyperactive because we live in such great population densities. So some of this might be, problems that we've brought on ourselves.
Okay, now you also mentioned cancer. Cancer not as simply a disease, but as a byproduct of our evolution and therefore in some sense inevitable. So what do you mean when you say that cancer is in some sense inevitable?
I mean that quite literally. You will get cancer if you live long enough. The reason why that's the case is that we have some genes that can lead to cancer. We have some genes that try to prevent cancer, and we are always constantly at risk of mutation. So every time a cell in your body divides, a couple of hundred mutations are brought into the picture. Most of those, of course, don't cause any problem, but eventually you roll the dice enough times, you will get snake eyes. So the longer you live, the greater the odds that you will hit one of these cancer genes and turn it on. Now, you have to hit them in a certain order. We know a lot about how cancer gets started. But what I mean by inevitable is there's just no way that you can avoid the odds forever. Eventually, you will turn on genes that lead to cancer. Now, we've gotten very, very good at early detection. We haven't gotten very good at treatment. Once cancer gets pretty far along, it's like an organism or a species that's evolving over time. And as it evolves, it gets better and better, accumulates more mutations. Cancer is the beast.
Okay, Nathan, once again, we have to take a short commercial break. Once again, the book is called Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. The author is Nathan Lenz, professor of biology at John Jay College at the City University of New York. And you are listening to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Give us a call at 612-564-8135, and maybe you can get on national radio.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
It's been said,
Any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years. From My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the purest for you and your family. For over 14 years, thousands have depended on Berkey Clean Water. The Berkey guy has you covered at home, work, and on the go. With water filtration systems of every size for every budget. Now GCN listeners receive 10% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN at goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. Goberkey.com.
Bags under the eyes, crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles are things adults complain about as they age. Now, there's Instantly Ageless. It works in minutes and is great for men and women. Here's Dr. Sonia Bacha on The Doctors.
So this is a product we're going to see if it works. It's called Instantly Ageless. And the idea is that it works very quickly, is you just need a very small amount, and then you apply it to areas where you might be a little bit puffy. I have just looked at what's in this product, and one of them is something called argireline, which is sort of a darling in dermatology right now. It's a peptide or a protein that actually relaxes the muscle. It's also called Botox in a bottle. The other active ingredient in this is silicates, which are almost act like a clay. They're minerals, and they're making the skin sort of tighter. It's actually increasing the surface tension on the skin to push that herniated fat pad back.
Try Instantly Ageless today at gcnlife.com. That's gcnlife.com. 30-day money-back guarantee and preferred price discount at gcnlife.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. You know, every time I turn on the TV, I see programs that talk about the glory of the human body. And yes, the human body is an engineering marvel. The very fact that we can perform what we do is an indication of the fact that, yes, it is an accomplishment, our human body. But then when you compare ourselves to animals, you realize that some animals can run a lot faster than us. Some animals can fly. They're stronger than us, and they would look at humans and the Olympics as a joke. Well, with us today is Dr. Nathan Lentz of the City University of New York's John Jay College, author of a book, Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. Now, before the break, we talked about cancer. Isn't cancer, in some sense, the price we pay for complexity? That is, if we came from single-celled organisms, germs and bacteria, basically, they don't have cancer, and they produce quite well. But as we became more and more complex, genetically speaking, there were more room for errors that could take place. But what are your thoughts?
I'd say for a physicist, you understand the biology really, really well. That's exactly right. Single-celled organisms don't have to wrestle with this problem, because anytime their cell divides, you have two new organisms that can go on their way. But with us, with multicellular organisms, we have all of these trillions of cells that have to live in community. It only takes one of them to go wrong, to miss the program, to ignore the signal, and to go off and divide uncontrollably. And that's the genesis of cancer. And cancer does begin, as we say, clonally, meaning it's a single cell that goes haywire. And in fact, you're actually experiencing this every day. But your control mechanisms largely capture them and take care of it and deal with it. But the problem is, like I said, you roll the dice enough times, eventually something will get through. And so that's why early detection is the key. Get those mammograms and checkups and check yourself, and you can delay it as long as possible.
Now, also in your book, you talk about optical illusions, the fact that our perception is also a patchwork of evolutionary fixes, and therefore it makes lots of mistakes. For example, the optic nerve is attached to the retina of the eyeball, so it means that your field of vision, there should be a gigantic black hole. There should be a gigantic black splotch in your field of vision because there are no sensors at that point that connects your retina to the optic nerve. But you don't see anything. You see something that is perfectly clear. And isn't that an illusion that the brain manufactures? The brain actually manufactures fake vision that masquerades this black splotch that you should see but don't.
That's exactly right. And the advantage we have to overcome this blind spot is that we have two eyes that cover the same field of vision. So if anyone wants a demonstration of this blind spot, if you just go to the internet and search for optic disc blind spot, and you'll see a demonstration. But why we don't see it is that our two eyes migrated forward in our face, and so that allows us binocular three-dimensional vision, and our brain literally fills in the blanks of that blind spot. And you don't experience it as any gap in your vision. But if you were like a dolphin and your eyes were in two almost completely non-overlapping fields of vision, you would have a big old blind spot that's caused by your optic disc. And that in and of itself is a flaw of what we call backwards wiring of the retina. But the filling in the blanks that's just a pattern of our brain. It's called heuristics. Heuristics are the brain's ability to create rules based on experience and then follow those rules, whether or not the new situation really follows the pattern or not. And that's great when you need to make snap judgments, and it probably saved our lives, for a lot of the times over the years. But right now, it leads us to some very poor decision making. And understanding those heuristics and how the brain makes its decisions is yet another example, I think, of how we can sort of overcome the limitations of our body and brain by understanding where they go wrong.
Now, I was once given a vision test where I saw a basketball game where the basketball was going back and forth very fast, and I was asked to count the number of times the basketball went from one person to the next. Well, so far so good. Later, they showed me the same tape, except there was a gigantic black gorilla in the middle of the basketball game, which I didn't see because I was looking at the ball as it bounced from one basketball player to the next. So doesn't this mean that eyewitness accounts? Okay, well, we have to take a short commercial break. Once again, this is Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Our special guest, Dr. Nathan Lentz, author of the book Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. And you are listening to Science Fantastic. Give us a call. The hotline number, if you want to get on Science Fantastic, is 612-564-8135. Call that number. Ask that question, and maybe your thoughts will be heard on almost 100 radio stations that carry Science Fantastic.
How well and how fast does Heart and Body Extract work to improve blood circulation? Listen.
My name is Ellis, and I am 66 years old, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed as having clogged arteries. I had 70% blockage in one artery leading to my heart. They wanted me to go on Plavix, but I refused, knowing the negative side effects.
Heart and Body Extract is a unique balance, synergy, and proportion of herbs reaching from head to toe at maximum absorption around 95% at the cellular level.
Within the first month, I felt a dramatic difference. The heaviness in my legs was reduced, and within 2 months, I felt completely normal.
Your natural organic herbal formula for heart health is Heart and Body Extract. Heart and Body Extract comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract. Call 866-295-5305, 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. Makes the perfect stocking stuffer. Get your Bug Assault today and save $10 on the Bug Beam Laser Combo, only at bugassault.com.
Hey everyone, Proactive MD has an incredible offer for our radio listeners only. Stay tuned for our exclusive offer that includes a free charcoal pore cleansing brush and free shipping. Proactive MD with prescription strength adapalene can heal and prevent future breakouts. Today, for just $19.95, we're offering listeners the 3-piece Proactive MD system with free shipping, plus a free gift, the new charcoal pore cleansing brush. Get this exclusive offer by calling now, 1-800-583-8662, or go to proactive.com and enter promo code RADIO. You heard right. Proactive MD plus free shipping and a free gift. The new charcoal pore cleansing brush. You'll get all this for just $19.95 and their 60-day money-back guarantee. You're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear, or you get your money back. Call now. 1-800-583-8662. That's 1-800-583-8662. Or go to proactive.com and enter promo code RADIO. Again, go to proactive.com and enter promo code RADIO.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Once again, in this hour, we're talking not about outer space, we're talking about inner space. We're talking about all the defects and glitches in your body. And you may find some of this rather puzzling because we've been brainwashed. Brainwashed by the Olympics, brainwashed by opera, brainwashed by ballet and figure skating to believe that the human form is perfect. It's the height of perfection. Until you look at the animal kingdom, where we have animals that run faster, that can fly, that are much stronger than us, and would look at the Olympics with pity, and they would see a rather pathetic sequence of human abilities, which are very tiny compared to the abilities of animals. Well, with us today is Dr. Nathan Lentz, professor of biology at John Jay College here in New York City. The book is called Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. Now let's say a few things about intelligence. Now, people have wondered, how is it that apes eventually became us? What were some of the factors that created the large human brain? So what does science tell us about that?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and it's one of the biggest frontiers in human evolution research. What we think we know right now about why our brains got so big, it wasn't as a result of what we call general intelligence. And in fact, a 2 or 3 year old child is no smarter in most ways than chimpanzees or bonobos or gorillas. What makes us unique is actually our social intelligence and even cultural intelligence. So we evolved as the most intricately social species of all, where we have division of labor, we have coordinated efforts, and other animals have some of that, but we have it to such an incredible degree. And keeping track of all of your social relationships takes a lot of brain power. And also, so does working together, because you have to be able to interpret other people's behavior. You have to be able to predict it. You have to be able to communicate with them and make plans. You have to have a concept of the past as well as the future. These are all huge cognitive abilities that are related to our ability to interact with one another. So we really are a intricately social species, and it's why we really need other people. Nobody really thrives under solitary confinement, because we need that social contact. It's how we evolve.
Now, you also mentioned something that I've thought about, and that is the Machiavelli theory of intelligence. And that is that intelligence, social intelligence you talked about, take us only so far. But we go much farther than that. And perhaps the next step beyond simply getting together socially is to scheme, to plot, to be devious, to deceive. That is Machiavellian attitudes towards social interactions. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So if you plot our evolution over the last 7 million years, we went through several phases. And the phase of the largest brain expansion may very well have been associated with exactly what you're talking about, and that is intense competition between human groups. So the important thing to remember is that most competition in human history is not within the group, but between groups. So you have two groups of humans conspiring against each other. And if you think about a competition that way, it's like a sports game. You have to be able to intensely cooperate within your group and then intensely compete with another group. So you have to do both. So it really does require you to be highly social within your group, but highly competitive outside of it. And if you think about it, that really mirrors the way our nation states interact with one another, right? I mean, we are capable of vicious violence against the other while being very loving and generous with those in our group. And I think that really marks our history. Thankfully, over the last 200,000 years, what we've seen is increasing docility and what we call self-domestication. We actually lost at least the most violent of our instincts, and we've become a lot more pro-social. But as you can see from the world today, we haven't left that completely behind.
So one remnant of the Machiavellian brain is the fact that precisely because we are devious, we can also cooperate and use both aspects to become even better at surviving. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly, because to defeat an enemy and to cooperate with a friend require a lot of the same cognitive abilities. It's the ability to interpret what they're up to imagine what they're thinking or feeling or what they might do next, like I said, make predictions, use past experience to predict the future, and also just to have an understanding of emotional state and how that might impact a relationship. So being a friend and being an enemy, even though it feels different to you, you're actually using a lot of the same cognitive abilities. And so I think that's what really makes the thing that's the most unique about human evolution is that we were highly social and highly cognitive in both contexts, both competition and cooperation.
Now, let's say a few things about the future. In science fiction novels, the future human being has a gigantic head, has no hair, and is bald. But doesn't that violate simple evolutionary principles? Because there's no evolutionary pressure placed on us anymore to have these gigantic brains, and they're not going to fit in the birth canal of a female anyway. So what are your thoughts about whether or not we are still evolving?
Yeah, you said it very well there. The only way we would evolve bigger brains over time is if those who had bigger brains out-reproduced those who don't have big brains, and that's just not what we see. We have largely taken reproductive destiny onto ourselves, so people make their own reproductive choices. It's really not based on how well adapted you are to the environment, and it's certainly not based on how smart you are. And people have lots of doom and gloom scenarios about what that might mean. I'm particularly not worried at all. But one thing you mentioned, though, is could we evolve something that would make us less healthy? I think that's possible because we've been solving our own problems medically. For a good sort of 100, 150 years, a lot of people are surviving and thriving who wouldn't have in the past because of medical science. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a good thing. I mean, I've had surgery twice myself, and I
Okay,
I
Nathan,
would never have
unfortunately, we have run out of time. But once again, your book is a great book. It's called Human Errors, a panorama of our glitches from pointless bones to broken genes. And the author is Professor Nathan Lenz, Professor of Biology at John Jay College here at the City University of New York. And you've been listening to Science Fantastic. Give us a call at 612-564-8135, and you can have your voice heard on almost 100 radio stations that carry Science Fantastic. Leave your name, call letter to the radio station you're listening to, if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and you might get on Science Fantastic.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-870-0305 and use promo code GCN. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
This hour brought to you by GCNLife.com. Live younger, look younger, feel younger at GCNLife.com.
Black holes, the cosmos, space and time travel, science and technology. Brought to you by theoretical physicist, futurist, popularizer of science, and world-renowned author, Professor Michio Kaku.
And GCNLive.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. On Science Fantastic, we profile the amazing, jaw-dropping scientific discoveries which are revolutionizing our world and touching our lives. And first of all, let me say it's great to be back. I was traveling around the world. I spoke in Australia and New Zealand for the first time. In fact, when I spoke in Sydney, Australia, we sold out. We sold out the Opera House. You know, the famous, iconic Opera House. Every time you see an advertisement talking about Australia, there it is in its full glory, the Opera House. Well, we sold it out. We had a sellout tour throughout New Zealand and Australia. But it's great to be back here in New York City, interacting with you, the listener. And so once again, in this hour, we're going to take your listener phone calls. Now, if you want to be part of the March of Science, then get to the telephones and give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135. 612-564-8135. Give us a call, leave your name, call letters of the radio station you're listening to, if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and then ask that question. Make that comment that you've always wanted to make but never had the chance. Here's a chance to do it and get on national radio as a consequence. Have your voice heard on almost 100 radio stations that carry Science Fantastic. And by the way, one question that I often got when I was touring is, well, why do we have to learn science anyway? It's so abstract, it's so hard. And I tell people that, well, ultimately, science is the origin of prosperity and wealth. Think of it, 100, 200 years ago, people didn't live very long. I mean, life expectancy for most of human history was about the age of 25. That's right. On average, you wouldn't live much beyond the age of 25 throughout most of human history. During the Roman Empire, for example, life expectancy rose a little bit, up to about 32. But it fell back again during the Dark Ages. And so life historically was cruel, short, and brutal. And so we have to realize that what life would look like without science. Well, once again, in this hour, we're going to take your listener phone calls. So give us a call, 612-564-8135 is the number to call, and you can have your thoughts heard on national radio on Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. And also go to my website. It's mkaku.org, mkaku.org, or go to my Facebook site at Michio Kaku. We're over 3 million fans now on Facebook. On Twitter now, we're up to 670,000 fans on Twitter. And so find out what all the excitement is about by going to my website, going to my Twitter account, or my Facebook account. And once again, go to mkaku.org, mkaku.org. Okay, well, let's now move right on and take your first listener phone call.
Hello, my name is Keith. I'm from Minneapolis, and I'm a fan of Walter Miller's book, Canticle for Leibowitz, that deals with life on Earth after a global nuclear war. Some humans have survived, but the world has been reduced to stone. In the book, the monks of Leibowitz preserve the surviving remnants of man's scientific knowledge until the world is again ready for it. After a global nuclear war, I'm wondering how long you think it would take for humans to build civilization back to the point of, say, building a functional electrical generator or a combustible engine, and what would be the process humanity would have to go through to get human civilization back to those technological achievements. Thank you.
Well, yes, I'm familiar with that science fiction series, and we have a negative example of what might happen. Look at the fall of the Roman Empire. During the height of the Roman Empire, in the centuries after the birth of Christ, we saw a blossoming of science and technology at tremendous human cost, of course. However, the Romans built an empire of roads and buildings and aqueducts and monuments and temples, an incredible legacy, a legacy of engineering and science. But around 400 AD or so, the whole thing collapsed. And how long did it take to get back up to speed again? It took about 1,000 years. A lot of that knowledge was lost. And, of course, the records were burned down. The library at Alexandria was burned. Most of the knowledge of the Roman Empire vanished with the Roman Empire. For example, the Romans were able to build concrete using a formula that we still do not really understand. You can still visit the ruins of the Roman Empire 2,000 years later, and the buildings that they built are still relatively intact. However, because we simply do not know how to mix concrete very well, our buildings last maybe 50, maybe 80 years until they start to crumble. And so think about that. Even 2,000 years later, we're still trying to figure out how the Romans built such great concrete buildings. Now, you ask a different question. What happens today in the modern era if we have a nuclear war? How long would it take to reestablish civilization? Well, I think it would still take centuries. Of course, if a single microchip were to survive the nuclear holocaust, then of course we could then reestablish much of the technology almost instantly. The problem is not reestablishing the technology. That's not the problem. The problem is the social integration of science into society, because we degenerate into a bunch of barbarians. Now, if you want to know what society may look like after a nuclear war, just look at our ancient history, where we had tribalism, and for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, we were in small little bands of maybe 100 people, each fighting to the death, fighting over limited resources. And you realize that human psychology hasn't changed much in 200 or so thousand years. In other words, even though we celebrate our monuments and our science and our technology and our rockets, even though we celebrate our achievements, we have to realize that the brain behind all of it hasn't really changed much in 100, 200,000 years. We still have the caveman brain, the cave woman brain of our ancestors. And so the problem is not technical, reestablishing civilization after nuclear war. The problem is social. How will we govern ourselves after a nuclear war? Personally, I think we could very easily degenerate back into tribes of maybe 100 people. And these tribes would war with each other over limited resources. And knowledge would be forgotten in this process or hoarded by a few. And that's what prevents the rise of civilization over the next several centuries after a nuclear war. The technology is there. We could reestablish the technology very quickly. The problem is social integration. What kind of tribalism are we going to degenerate into after a nuclear war? And something to think about. It took 1,000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire. I think it would still take a few hundred years because of the fact that we still have the caveman brain, the cave woman brain, and will degenerate back into tribalism after a nuclear war. Okay, let's move on now to the next listener phone call. Well, unfortunately, that's it for this segment of Science Fantastic. Stay tuned as we continue to take your listener phone calls. Give us a call at 612-564-8135 and ask your question on National Radio.
Hello, this is Dr. Bill Deagle, MD of NutriMedical.com, announcing the breakthrough Red Deer Velvet DR. It delivers the protected building blocks of all organs and tissues, allowing your own stem cells as architects and engineers to regenerate you. Not since fetal life, when aging does not occur, has such an amazing NutriMed been available to help heal you and regenerate you. Anti-aging requires that you correct mineral, activated nutraceutical, and jump the gene defects and poor diet you have to deliver the cellular tools for rejuvenation. You must remove old damaged cells and replace them with your young healthy cells to wind the biological clock to a younger you. Order your Red Deer Velvet DR now at NutriMedical.com 24/7 or 888-212-8871. That's NutriMedical, Nutri Medical, Medical.com. Or call our order line 888-212-8871.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. On Science Fantastic, in this hour, we're going to take your listener phone calls. This is how you can be part of the March of Science. Give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135. All we ask is that you leave your name, call letters to the radio station if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and then ask away. Make that comment, make that question that you've always wanted to make but never had the chance. Now, some people say, well, I'm too shy. I can't do this. Well, you can go to my website and leave me an email. mkaku.org, mkaku.org is the website. And I'm also on Twitter and also on Facebook as well. And remember, no question is too dumb or too stupid to put on national radio. Chances are, if you have a question or a comment, no matter how silly, chances are thousands of other people have exactly that same question or comment, but are simply too embarrassed to talk about it. Well, you could talk about it on national radio. Give us a call at 612-564-8135. Okay, moving on. Let's take now the next listener phone call.
Hi, Michio Kaku. This is Kenneth, listening on GCN. I'd like to ask about the mathematics behind music. I understand that certain, like the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio are associated with the quality of music. So, in a sense, if that is the case, that a lot of Beethoven and Mozart's work is based on like a Fibonacci sequence, wouldn't that apply to aliens as well? So if an alien living in another star system that has no human anatomy were listening to music, wouldn't he feel the same, appeal towards Beethoven that human beings do, since mathematics is actually the language of the universe itself? So wouldn't it make sense that, in not all cases is art in the eye of the beholder? In many cases, wouldn't it be actually a mathematical thing?
Well, you ask a rather deep question that has stumped psychology and scientists for generations. And that question is there a universal aspect to art and music that appeals to not just us, but to animals and to aliens from outer space? First of all, why do animals make sounds anyway? Why do crickets chirp and why do birds sing? And the reason is, evolution. It's a sign of maturity, and it's a sign of health and vigor that you can make these sounds with regularity. And it shows that it's an advertising call. That's why crickets crick and birds chirp, to attract mates. So scientists have actually analyzed the music of birds, believe it or not. We find that birds that are healthy, that have a clear vocal passage, that are free of parasites, make a very vigorous sound, which essentially advertises their health, advertises the fact that they're healthy, they're free of parasites, and they have a very clear voice. And that's very attractive to birds of the opposite sex. And scientists also found that the more complex the melodies of the birds, the more vigorous they were in terms of attracting mates. So in other words, it really does pay when you want to attract someone from the opposite sex to be able to hum a few bars and to sing with a very clear and pleasing voice. Now, you ask yet another question, not just art and appreciation and mating calls, but mathematics. Well, yes, it turns out that music has a mathematical basis to it, first worked out over 2,000 years ago by Pythagoras, the same guy who worked out the Pythagorean theorem for right triangles that we learned in school. That same Pythagoras also analyzed a lyre string. If I take a lyre string and I twang it, I get octaves that are half integers of the length of the lyre string. So you realize that the two ends of the lyre string are anchored, and they don't move at all. Therefore, if you vibrate it, the vibrations are in half-integral fractions of the length of the string. You have the principal octave and secondary octaves. And so when you look at music, it turns out there is a mathematics behind the music. So will aliens from outer space also like music? Well, we don't know, of course, but it's very possible that certain sequences like the Fibonacci numbers that you mentioned that are found in nature are also found in outer space. And one day when we make contact with aliens from outer space, well, music may be one way in which to communicate with them. I like to think of it this way. Take a dog, a cat, or a bat, or an animal, and if you could somehow breed them over millions of years to have large brains and to become intelligent, what would their intelligence look like? Well, a dog's intelligence, if you could breed an intelligent race of dogs, would be based on smells. It turns out that dogs don't use eyesight and other senses so much. They use hearing and smells. Their brain lives in a swirl, hundreds of swirling odors that circulate inside the brain of a dog. If you take a bat and were to somehow genetically engineer it so it became intelligent, sonar would be the way in which bats would communicate by echoes, by chirping and listening to the chirping's echoes as it reverberates. And so then you begin to realize that, my God, animals, if they become intelligent, may have a totally different frame of reference than humans. We use eyesight. We don't use smell so much. We don't use sound so much, but we use eyesight. But a lot of animals don't have eyes at all, and they would have a totally different way of communicating. But anyway, to answer your question, I think yes. I think aliens will have some kind of music because it does represent a regularity found in Mother Nature, and it also represents health. Now, scientists who've analyzed the mating calls of animals realize that animals that are healthy and symmetrical get more mates than animals that are not symmetrical. So symmetry also implies health. And so we find that in the animal kingdom, animals that are not symmetrical don't get mates because it's a signal of disease, injury, while animals that are symmetrical, it's a reflection of health. And so, in other words, one way to attract members of the opposite sex is to be healthy and to communicate in complex ways, like complex melodies. So maybe that's the origin of why people like Elvis Presley have such a magnetism when it comes to the opposite sex. Okay, let's move on now to the next listener phone call.
This is David Ferguson from College Station, Texas. My question is in regard to the digitized individual. So would AI also be included in that? So if you were talking to Einstein with all of his writings and history behind him, would AI be able to basically recreate his thought process to answer new questions that he has yet to answer? Thank you.
Well, the answer is yes. What you're talking about is a digitized person, that it's a person who becomes immortal by having everything known about that person digitized and recreated in the form of a human being. And so in the future, when you go to the library and get a book about Winston Churchill, in the future, you'll actually talk to Winston Churchill. You'll talk to, let's say, a holographic image or a robot. And the robot or the holographic image will have all the memories, all the writings, everything that has been digitized and known about Winston Churchill. And then to smooth it out, in order to put in common sense and jokes and things like that, you'll probably have to put in artificial intelligence. Now, as you mentioned, well, I would love to have a conversation with Einstein. Someday, someone will digitize everything known about Einstein's Einstein's writings and his personality, but to smooth it out, to put it together, to fill in the blanks will require artificial intelligence. And that's, of course, when we start to tinker with somebody else's personality, perhaps not in an authentic way. That's a problem. However, in about 100 years or so, who knows for sure, the Connectome project will be finished, and I'll talk about that after the break. Once again, you are listening to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Give us a call at 612-564-8135 and ask that question and get on national radio. Once again, 612-564-8135.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-301-5435. That's 800-301-5435. 800-301-5435.
Warning, if you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5759. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5759. That's 1-800-959-5759. 1-800-959-5759.
Jake was in big trouble with the IRS. He owed how much?
$92,000.
Ouch. And the IRS left no room for Jake to breathe.
They put a lien on my house, took all the money out of my bank account, took money out of my paychecks. So it was a nightmare.
He needed help fast.
I figured that all these companies were the same until I called Federal Tax Management. You could just tell they knew what they were talking about. Right then and there, I felt like I had some hope.
Stop the liens, levies, and garnishments fast and qualify for one of several special IRS programs that could reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. So, how'd it go for Jake?
They did what they said they would do. They came through for me. I ended up saving an unbelievable amount. I was so jazzed. I was extremely happy.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, take Jake's advice.
Give Federal Tax Management a phone call. If they help me, they can help anybody.
Call the Federal Tax Management Hotline now. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years from My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. We are taking your calls in this hour. If you want to get on Science Fantastic, give us a call at 612-564-8135. When you hear the recording, leave your name, call letters of the radio station if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and then ask away. Ask that question. Even if it sounds kind of dumb and stupid and childish, ask away. Chances are, if you have that same question, chances are thousands of other people have exactly that same question as well. Well, before the break, we had a question about digital immortality. Is it possible that one day we'll digitize everything known about us, our credit card transactions, our Instagram photographs, our website information, everything known about us, and will it require a little bit of artificial intelligence? And the answer is yes, because you don't want to be talking to a tape recorder. You want to be able to interact with that person, gossip with that person, and that would require common sense and a little bit of background, and that would require artificial intelligence. However, in 100 years' time or so, who knows for sure when, the Connectome project will be completed. Right now, we have, of course, the Human Genome Project, which is already entering the marketplace. Everyone is trying to get as much information about their bodies and genome as possible for health purposes and also to find out your origin. But beyond that, in about 100 years' time, we will map the entire human brain. Just about a month ago, it was announced that we mapped the entire brain of a fruit fly. That's right. They sliced up the brain of a fruit fly, reconnected all the neurons with an electron microscope, and bingo, 100,000 neurons were connected, and in principle, we can reconnect the brain of a fruit fly. Now, our brain is not 100,000 neurons. Our brain has 100 billion neurons, and as a consequence, it would take many, many decades, maybe a century, to have a connectome of the human brain. But when that happens, perhaps we'll be able to decipher the coding of the brain and then extract memories, your personality, your quirks. Everything known about you might be extracted once we have the connectome. But of course, we're far from that. We can only sequence the brains of animals, simple animals at the present time. But one day when we have the Connectome project, literally you could live forever, or at least your soul, your information in your soul will live forever. Okay, let's move on now to the next listener phone call.
My name is Madeline Anderson, and I am calling from WGAW 1620 in College Station, Texas, and I would like to know how the sun formed.
Okay, well, that's a question that has haunted civilization for thousands of years. People worship the sun. They set their calendars to the sun. Mysticism and all sorts of sorcery were associated with the sun. But now we have modern astronomy. And with the Hubble Space Telescope, we can actually see stars in all phases of their life cycle. That's right. Within the range of the Hubble Space Telescope, we can see 100 billion galaxies. Each galaxy in turn has about 100 billion stars. And so that's 100 billion times 100 billion stars in the visible universe. Therefore, by analyzing the time sequence of these stars, we can then patch together the life cycle of stars, starting with a gigantic ball of gas about a light year across. Well, let's take a short commercial break, and after the break, we'll talk about where the sun came from and how the sun will eventually die. Well, this is Dr. Michio Kaku, and this is Science Fantastic. Give us a call at 612-564-8135. After the break, we talk about the life and death of the sun.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Introducing Reveal from GCNlife.com. Beverly Hills dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman invented Reveal, which contains polypeptides with natural botanicals and no parabens, sulfates, silicones, or dyes for a salon-quality hair growth product. Reveal. Here's Dr. Newman.
I have treated a lot of patients who lose their hair and they lose their confidence. We've created a unique set of polypeptides, which we call HPT6. The HPT6 contains the polypeptides from 6 different plants. The scalp infusion treatment should be used on wet or dry scalp. The Reveal hair care system is designed to be used for men and women alike.
Get Reveal at GCNlife.com with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So try Reveal today at GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637. Plus a discount up to 25% off for Reveal at GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
Pain in my neck, back, and shoulders has really gotten worse.
Relief for body pain is here with Sunny Bay heating pads.
Well, the last thing I want is to take another pill, so what's so good about Sunny Bay heating pads?
Sunny Bay heating pads, made by Biomed DB Design right here in the USA, come in all sizes. Our extra large microwavable heating pad for back pain is designed to be large enough to cover your entire back. It's also perfect to wrap around your legs, knees, or shoulder and neck.
But I need to know they're good quality.
Of course, Sunny Bay heating pads and pillows are often an Amazon choice, and it's easy and most affordable when you purchase your Sunny Bay heating pads right from our website, sunshinepillows.com, or call us 253-678-1361.
Hey, a Sunny Bay heating pad
would make a great gift, right?
Yes, and they start at just $19.99 and free shipping is available. So call 253-678-1361 or shop for your Sunny Bay heating pad at sunshinepillows.com.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Before the break, we had a call that came in about the life cycle of the sun. Where did the sun come from? And as I mentioned, we have actually a very good understanding of the sun. First of all, the sun started off as a ball of gas, perhaps a few trillion miles across. It was rotating very slowly, but gravity eventually began to collapse this slowly rotating ball of gas. And as it collapsed into a disk. The disk, the outer rims of the disk, eventually became the planets. And at the very center of the disk, most of the mass was concentrated into a ball of hydrogen. The temperature of the hydrogen began to rise as the ball of gas began to be squeezed. And as the temperature rose, eventually it hit, about 100 million degrees or so. At that point, fusion takes place. protons slam into other protons of hydrogen, creating helium and energy via Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared. So E equals mc squared is not just a formula that we memorize for the hell of it. No, it is the secret of the stars. It's the reason why the universe lights up at night. It's the origin of all life on Earth. The energy of the sun comes from E equals mc squared, where m is the mass of hydrogen. E is the energy released when hydrogen fuses and turns into helium. Eventually, however, it exhausts its supply of hydrogen. We are halfway through that process. The sun is about 4.6 billion years old. In about 5 more billion years, it will use up its hydrogen and become a helium-burning star or a red giant. It'll expand, and at that point, it will eat up the Earth. And so if you understand how the sun was formed, you also begin to understand how the earth was formed and how the earth will eventually die. The earth will die when the sun uses up its hydrogen, expands and becomes a helium-burning star, a red giant, and 5 billion years from now, we will have the last nice day. The sky will be on fire, the mountains will melt, the oceans will boil, and we will go back into the sun. So the Bible says, from dust to dust, ashes to ashes, physicists say, from stardust we came, and stardust we will return. And eventually the sun will exhaust its energy supply of helium and become a small white dwarf star, which will eventually cool down to the point where there's nothing left to burn, and it'll become basically a black dwarf star, a piece of nuclear waste floating in outer space. So the poets ask the question, will the world end in fire or ice? We know the answer to that. The earth will end in fire when it's eaten up by the sun. The sun itself will end in ice when it uses up its nuclear fuel. The galaxy, by the way, our Milky Way galaxy, will end in fire when it collides with the neighboring galaxy Andromeda, and the universe itself will die in ice, we think, when it cools down to near absolute zero. At that point, by the way, trillions upon trillions of years from now, when the universe gets awfully cold and the universe itself dies, I personally think that we'll be advanced enough then to leave the universe. We'll create an interdimensional lifeboat, leave the universe, go to a younger universe, and perhaps mess that one up as well. Okay, let's move on now to the next listener phone call.
Dr. Kaku, my name is Ben. I'm calling from Phoenix. I'm listening on my TuneIn app. I believe it is WNTCAN is the call numbers. Quick question. With, in your opinion, I guess, along with Professor deGrasse Tyson there, does the privatization and commercialization of this modern space race help to break down the barriers, such as the black budget, black projects, that separate technology from you and I? And does Dr. deGrasse Tyson think that this can ultimately help mankind grow as a species and help to break down those barriers? Because ultimately, we can't even fathom what it would take to become a Type 1 civilization. But didn't know if you had any thoughts on that, and as well as yourself. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay, well, let's take a short commercial break. You asked a mouthful, and after the break, we'll talk about all the points that you mentioned: a Type 1 civilization, black projects, the civilian sector, and the public sector. We'll talk about all that after the break. And once again, if you want to get on Science Fantastic, give us a call at 612-564-8135. Give us a call.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Here is what one satisfied customer had to say about Heart and Body Extract regarding his angina pain.
I haven't had an angina pain since I've been on it. The Heart Body Extract is just so great. I thank God that I was led to this product that's doing so much for me and that can do so much for other people.
Call to order your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Now, there is Reveal. Beverly Hills celebrity dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman took nearly a decade to develop Reveal from natural botanicals to return to a full-body head of hair. Reveal for men and women with a 30-day money-back guarantee at gcnlife.com or toll-free 844-443-6637. 844-443-6637. Reveal at gcnlife.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Once again, the lines are open at 612-564-8135. Leave your name, call letter to the radio station you're listening to, if you're listening to one, and then the city you're calling from, and ask away. Ask that question. Make that comment that's always been bugging you about science. Well, before the break, we had a question. First of all, about Dr. Neil Tyson. We actually had him on Science Fantastic just a few weeks ago, talking about his latest book, Accessory to War, and it brings into sharp focus the relationship between the public sector and the private sector. And then you ask yet another question about whether or not we're going to make it to a Type 1 civilization. So let's try to break it down. Neil and I both agree that we have to be realistic when it comes to the history of science. That yes, science and warfare have been linked ever since we picked up the first bow and arrow, and we use it to find game, but also we use the bow and arrow to fight other humans. And so we have to realize that science, technology can be used either for good or for evil, because science is a double-edged sword. it can either cut against ignorance, poverty, disease, or it can cut against people. It all depends upon the democratic control of that sword of technology. Now, you also allude to the fact that the private sector is coming into the space race. I think in general that's not a bad thing because, of course, governments do projects that have a lot of cost overruns, and they have to worry about public relations and things like that, while private corporations can cut a few corners and do things faster. But of course, because they cut a few corners, we have to worry about safety as well. But the fact that SpaceX, the fact that Elon Musk Blue Origins, the fact that Virgin Galactic, the fact that all these companies are being formed is reinvigorating the exploration of outer space. The cost of going to outer space has been dropping like a rock because of this, making it possible to have space tourism, making it possible that one day mom and dad might be able to go into outer space. And so I think that in general it's a good thing as long as it doesn't get out of hand, the fact that the private sector is engaged with outer space. And we're going back to the moon as a consequence. The government, realizing how costly it is to go back to the moon, has basically not done anything about the moon for the past 50 years. But now Jeff Bezos of Blue Origins and Amazon, Elon Musk of SpaceX are creating their own moon rockets with not taxpayers' money, but with their own funds. They are opening up their checkbooks. Elon Musk has the Falcon Heavy and the BFR rocket, and Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Blue Origins has his new Armstrong rockets. All these rockets are capable of reaching the moon. And so we don't have to wait for governments, which are very slow and cautious, to take us back to the moon and one day perhaps even to Mars. Now, you ask yet another question, and that is, will all this affect our march toward a Type 1 civilization? Well, let me try to break this down once again. We are a Type 0 civilization. A Type 1 civilization is about 100 years more advanced than us, and they use all the energy available to them that comes from the sun. They control the weather, for example. A Type 2 civilization controls the energy of a star. A Type 3 civilization controls the energy output of a galaxy, like Star Wars. Star Trek would be more like a Type 2 civilization, which has colonized a few planets and you can play with stars, but we are a Type 0 civilization. Now, will all this affect our march toward Type 1? And the answer is, I don't think so. I think it's inevitable, unless we blow ourselves up, it's inevitable that we will become a Type 1 civilization. We see the beginnings of a Type 1 civilization even as we speak. What is the Internet? The Internet is the beginning of the first Type 1 telephone system, the first Type 1 technology to fall into this century. And what language will this Type 1 civilization speak? Already on the Internet, English and Mandarin Chinese are the two most popular languages on the Internet. And so we're already seeing the beginning of a Type 1 civilization. And the fact that private enterprise is helping public enterprises begin the process of conquering outer space, I think will help, but not basically accelerate the march toward a Type 1 civilization. Okay, well, let's move on now to the next listener phone call.
Hi, my name is Lance Rome, calling from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I listen to you off of your website. My question is more of just a crazy thought. With all this crazy weather that's been going on with hurricanes and whatever all around the world, what if it's some big secret company trying to make the world a Type 1 civilization, and they're trying to control all the weather, and that's why they're getting all these hurricanes and horrible weather across the world. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, just for fun? Thank you.
Okay, well, definitely the weather seems to be very different. Even several years ago, the former President George W. Bush, a conservative, said that something strange is happening to the weather. And so we're talking about the fact that farmers notice that the weather is changing, because after all, summers are about a week longer than normal on average. And if you're a farmer, you have to know exactly when summer and fall and winter begin in order to coordinate the planting season. So the average person realizes that we're having 100-year storms, 100-year floods, 100-year forest fires, and something is happening. However, it is beyond the control of one corporation or one company to mitigate or alter this. We're talking about the weather, for God's sake. Well, let's take a short commercial break, and after the break, we're going to continue with Science Fantastic. Give us a call at 612-564-8135.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
This hour brought to you by GCNLife.com. Eliminate bags under your eyes in minutes with Instantly Ageless from GCNLife.com.
Black holes, the cosmos, space and time travel, science and technology. Brought to you by theoretical physicist, futurist, popularizer of science, and world-renowned author, Professor Michio Kaku.
And GCNLive.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. In this hour, we're going to take you on a fantastic journey. A journey through space and time. A journey into our bodies. A journey into the world of science, the cutting edge of science. And if you want to be part of this, then give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135. Write that number down. 612-564-8135. All we ask is that you leave your name, call letter to the radio station you're listening to, and the city you're calling from, and maybe you can get on Science Fantastic. And no question is too dumb or too stupid to put on national radio. As I like to say, years ago, there was a 16-year-old boy who asked a very stupid question, and that was, can you outrace a light beam? I mean, come on. Well, he asked that question, and he wouldn't let go for 10 years. For 10 years, from the age of 16 to 26, he hit his head against the wall, asking the question, can you outrace a light beam? After 10 years of hard work, he finally got the answer. The answer is no, you cannot, because the speed of light is the ultimate velocity in the universe. Well, that young boy had a name, and that was Albert Einstein. He changed the world of stars and atomic bombs, the world of high-tech electronics, the world of the Big Bang and black holes. All of that originally kicked off because a 16-year-old boy asked a stupid question. Well, that's why you should give us a call at 612-564-8135. And also, I just finished a national book tour. My book is called The Future of Humanity, and I've had a number of questions that were given to me, and I'll try to answer another one of these questions. The question that sometimes I get is, why didn't Stephen Hawking, the great physicist, ever win the Nobel Prize in Physics? Well, if you think about it, that is ironic, because many lesser-known physicists who have done less spectacular work, they've won the Nobel Prize. So how come the Nobel Prize eluded Stephen Hawking, a physicist so famous that he's going to be buried in the Westminster Abbey? The Westminster Abbey in London is the most sacred church in all of British Christendom. Isaac Newton is buried there, not to mention many kings and queens of England, and including Stephen Hawking. So the question is, why didn't he ever win the Nobel Prize? Well, the answer is quite simple. The Nobel Prize is given for things that have been tested in the laboratory. Well, Stephen Hawking's main contribution is untested, and that is Hawking radiation. You see, black holes are black because they absorb all light. Nothing can escape. They're like the ultimate Roche Motel. Everything checks in, nothing checks out. However, Hawking showed, and this is his great contribution, that when you add the quantum theory of atoms to black holes, you find that black holes are not really black at all. They're gray. They emit a very faint radiation called Hawking radiation. That's why he didn't win the Nobel Prize. This is a great discovery because it was the first major application of the quantum theory, that is a theory of atoms, to the theory of Einstein, a theory of gravity. These two theories usually hate each other, but Stephen Hawking showed that these two theories create a new effect, Hawking radiation. But it's too faint. It's too faint to be observed in the laboratory. So we physicists believe it exists. It's out there, Hawking radiation, but the proof eludes us, and that's why Stephen never won the Nobel Prize. Okay, well, let's move right along now to your listener phone calls. Give us a call at 612-564-8135. Let's take the first listener phone call.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm calling from Florida. My question is about your book, the Terraforming Mars part. Now, the only two examples I know about it are the Superman movie, where like everybody was floating up in the ground and everything, and I think there was another movie where the guy survives on Mars, which he like basically made like a small little greenhouse and grew vegetables and stuff. I know the Superman movie wouldn't be like that. So if we were to do like a little bubble greenhouse sort of deal, and let's say we wanted, the target would be half of Mars, not all of it, just half of Mars. In a realistic sense, how long would that take to happen? Thank you.
Well, you ask a question that a lot of NASA engineers are asking themselves right now. And that is, well, if you saw the movie The Martian, starring Matt Damon, he was left stranded on Mars with no backup, no supplies, and he had to grow his own food and sustain himself on the red planet. So one of the first things he had to do was find a way to get oxygen through a chemical reaction. Once you got that, then of course you have to get fertilizer for food, and he used his own waste products, for fertilizer. And then he started to grow plants on Mars because you had the carbon dioxide atmosphere. It's cold, but you can heat up the temperature using solar panels and agriculture. He was then the first one to create agriculture on Mars. Now, in the future, we'll do it using genetically modified algae. The carbon dioxide atmosphere is ideal to grow organisms. Plant organisms love carbon dioxide. And so it may be possible in the future to create a self-sustaining aquafarm or a farm of genetically modified organisms on the surface of Mars. That's one industry that you definitely want to get off the ground. Another industry is mining, because frozen water can be unfrozen, and that creates drinking water once you purify it, and you can separate it out into hydrogen and oxygen. So these are the two reasons why you can use A, hydrogen for rocket fuel, and B, oxygen for breathing. So water would be the first major substance to be mined on the surface of Mars. This is beginning the process of terraforming Mars. So it's going to be very difficult. No one's going to terraform Mars immediately. The first settlements will just tinker with the mechanics of terraforming Mars. But the actual terraforming of the planet itself will take much longer. Now, how do you jumpstart it? If you can raise the temperature of Mars by 6 degrees, you will have a runaway greenhouse effect. How do you do that? You inject methane gas into the atmosphere of Mars. The methane gas captures sunlight, creates a greenhouse effect, which captures more carbon dioxide, and so you have a runaway greenhouse effect. So that's one way to self-sustain and terraform Mars. But of course, it's not going to happen anytime soon. It'll take years, decades. So let's take a short commercial break. Once again, you are listening to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCN Live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years from My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the purest for you and your family. For over 14 years, thousands have depended on Berkey Clean Water. The Berkey guy has you covered at home, work, and on the go. With water filtration systems of every size for every budget. Now GCN listeners receive 10% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN at goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. The lines are open. You can always get right to us and leave a message. The number to call is 612-564-8135. And once again, go to my website, mkaku.org, mkaku.org. Find out what I'm up to. Go to my website, and you can see the cities I've been traveling in, and maybe I'll sign your copy of my latest book, The Future of the Humanity, now a New York Times bestseller, thanks to you in the audience. Well, before the break, we also had a call about terraforming Mars, and he also mentioned Superman. So let me give you a historical link between Mars and Superman. Near the turn of the century, Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote the Tarzan series, for which he was famous, but he also wrote the John Carter of Mars series as part of pulp fiction back in the 1920s. Back then, he realized that Mars had a lower gravitational field than the Earth, so he said that if an Earthling were to go to Mars somehow, he would become somebody with superhuman powers. He'd be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. He'd be faster than a speeding bullet. So, Edgar Rice Burroughs said that this man on Mars, John Carter, would have the power of a Superman. Well, what happened was nothing happened until World War II comes along and people want a hero. And that's the origin of Action Comics and Superman. And in the very first issue of Superman, the very first issue, it says very plainly that anyone from another planet landing on the Earth would have superhuman powers because of the low gravity, precisely echoing the words of Edgar Rice Burroughs, creator of Tarzan, and John Carter of Mars. So in other words, the link between Mars and Superman is that Superman is in some sense a son of John Carter, a creation of the man who created Tarzan. Okay, well, let's move right on to the next listener phone call.
I'd like to propose at least one question. If the background microwave radiation from the Big Bang heats up the relative vacuum of deep space by 2.74 degrees Kelvin, then how can people like Dr. Lee Howe at Harvard, who were trying to reach absolute zero, completely evacuate the BMR from an environment so that the thermometer doesn't reach just 2.74 degrees Kelvin, but actually goes down to absolute zero? I found your presentation delightful on the future of humanity.
Okay, well, first of all, let's break down your question. It turns out that in outer space, there is an echo of the Big Bang itself. Believe it or not, you can calculate that the Big Bang was very hot, but in 13.8 billion years, it cooled down. So the temperature of the background radiation left over, the aftermath of the Big Bang, has a temperature today of 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. So children sometimes ask the question, Mommy, Daddy, how cold is outer space? Well, we know the answer, 2.7 degrees. Why? That's the temperature of the Big Bang today. Anything that hot back then could not go to zero today. We see residual radiation from the Big Bang at 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. But on the Earth, you can create in the laboratory temperatures below 2.7 degrees centigrade. Now, remember, that's a temperature of outer space. But on the Earth, it's possible to take out energy from a container of energy and drop the temperature below 2.7 degrees centigrade. And that resolves the paradox. And that is, if the temperature of outer space is 2.7 degrees, how can on the Earth you can get a chamber, a small chamber where the temperature inside is below 2.7 degrees centigrade? There's no contradiction whatsoever. And by the way, you can pick up this radiation on your transistor radio. If you turn your frequency on a transistor radio randomly, you get static. Believe it or not, most of that static comes from Jupiter. Jupiter is quite noisy in the radio spectrum, quite radioactive, but you can also pick up the Big Bang itself. This is amazing that even a simple transistor radio can pick up residual leftover radiation from the creation of the universe itself. Absolutely amazing. Okay, let's move on to the next listener phone call.
Hello, my name is Charles Davis. I'm not listening to a radio station. I actually got your information off the internet. But I have a question for you. Was there ever a reverse law to the theory of light written by anyone, including Einstein, never published? If so, what would the implications of that be? And then would that actually be I guess you would say, a link to relativity and quantum theory possible? Thank you.
Well, I think what you're asking is there a reverse form of light? I think that's what you said. In other words, anti-light or dark light. That light from a flashlight emits radiation, but a dark flashlight would absorb radiation, and blackness would come out rather than light. Well, the short answer is no, but let me explain why. First of all, there is something called antimatter, the opposite of matter, which is different charge. So the electron has negative charge. We learned that in elementary school. But the anti-electron, the positron, has positive charge. So antimatter has the opposite charge of ordinary matter. Now, light, however, has no charge at all. It's chargeless. And anti-light is light. So that explains, first of all, the mystery of black light. There is no such thing because light and anti-light are the same thing. You can also answer the question about anti-gravity. Anti-gravity is gravity. That is, the antiparticle of the graviton is a graviton. The antiparticle is the photon of light, is the photon of light. And therefore, reverse light or black light is not possible. However, recently, physicists were quite amazed that the universe itself is accelerating due to dark energy. Now, this is repulsive. Dark energy repels galaxies, and so it is a form of anti-gravity, which is amazing. There is a form of anti-gravity. However, what's the catch? The catch is it's extremely small. So small, you cannot make hoverboards or anti-gravity rockets out of it. Sorry about that. It is extremely tiny, but we do think on a scale of galaxies now, it is literally pushing the galaxies apart, cooling it down, and one day we may hit absolute zero or near absolute zero as a consequence of dark energy. Okay, let's move on to the next listener phone call.
Hi, this is Sean Markley from Shorewood, Illinois. My question is, as we become a level 1 or level 2 society on the Kardashev scale, which scenario becomes more plausible? Number one, us wormholing to other planets in the Goldilocks zone and searching our own universe for the continuity of the species, or number two, us wormholing into the past in an alternate universe to transfer folks into the alternate universe, if you will, for the continuity of the species. Appreciate any help on the answer, and thanks, and have a great day.
Okay, well, you asked a question about the Kardashev scale, which I write about. Kardashev was a Russian astrophysicist who wanted to catalog intelligent civilizations in outer space. A Type 1 civilization consumes the energy of a planet, like Buck Rogers. They control the weather. They can control earthquakes and volcanoes. Anything planetary they can control. Type 2 is stellar. They control the stars. They control the energy output of the star and nearby planets, like the Federation of Planets. The Federation of Planets in Star Trek would be a Type 2 civilization. Type 3 is galactic. They control the power of a black hole. And after the break, we'll answer the question about what it means if you can create a wormhole if you're a Type 1, 2, or 3 civilization. Can you go to the past or maybe the future? Give us a call. The hotline number is 612-564-8135.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
Jake was in big trouble with the IRS. He owed how much?
$92,000.
Ouch. And the IRS left no room for Jake to breathe.
They put a lien on my house, took all the money out of my bank account, took money out of my paychecks. So it was a nightmare.
He needed help fast.
I figured that all these companies were the same until I called Federal Tax Management. You could just tell they knew what they were talking about. Right then and there, I felt like I had some hope.
Stop the liens, levies, and garnishments fast and qualify for one of several special IRS programs that could reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. So, how'd it go for Jake?
They did what they said they would do. They came through for me. I ended up saving an unbelievable amount. I was so jazzed. I was extremely happy.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, take Jake's advice.
Give Federal Tax Management a phone call. If they help me, they can help anybody.
Call the Federal Tax Management Hotline now. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow. And like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat. I would flip-flop all night long. I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed. It's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-870-0305 and use promo code GCN. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free Reputation reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
If you owe money to the IRS, you need to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. It starts with a devastating letter, and if you don't act immediately, you could find yourself having your wages garnished or have a lien placed on your property. But there's a solution. Tax 10,000 can help. Avoid enforced compliance, where these holds on your income and seizure of your home could become a nightmare that just won't end. Call 800-239-9957 now and speak to one of our experts. 800-239-9957 is the number to link you directly to a tax resolution specialist who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, all the forms will be handled for you. All you have to do is make the toll-free call. 800-239-9957. Find out if you qualify and possibly save yourself thousands of dollars, not to mention a lot of headaches. It could be the best call you've made today. That number again, 800-239-9957. The service does not provide tax settlement or legal services. We will refer you to a company that does provide such services. Often the IRS will not agree to any reduction in the amount owed. Not all taxpayers who owe more than $10,000 will qualify for a tax reduction program.
This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Here's your chance to get on national radio and ask that question that you've always been wanting to ask. Let's say it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and there you are all alone listening to your radio, and then all of a sudden you get this brainstorm. You just have to talk to somebody, but you're all alone and there's no one to talk to. Well, you can talk to me. You can give me a call by calling 612-564-8135. You'll get a recording. Leave your name, call letters of the radio station if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and maybe you can ask that question on national radio, the question that's always been bothering you. Well, before the break, we had another question that came in about the Kardashev scale and where we might take a wormhole to. Well, the Kardashev scale talks about civilizations centuries, millennia more advanced than us. A Type 1 civilization can control planetary power. They control the weather. They can mine the oceans. Type 2 has stellar power. They control the power output of an entire star. They've colonized all the nearby planets. And Type 3 is galactic. They control the power of black holes, and they roam across the galactic space lanes. Now, believe it or not, we can actually calculate when we will attain these incredible abilities. First of all, we know the energy output of a Type 1 civilization, and so we are about 100 years or so away from becoming Type 1. In other words, by 2100, we will become planetary with the ability to, for example, control the weather. In a few thousand years, we'll be Type 2, the ability to control the power output of an entire star, like in Star Trek. Type 3 is galactic, the power to manipulate black holes to roam the galactic space lanes. And that depends on whether or not you can get hyperdrive. So that may be, who knows, maybe thousands to 100,000 years more advanced than us. Now, the question that came in is, when are we going to get wormholes? And where are we going to go in space or time with a wormhole? Wormholes are shortcuts. They are allowed by Einstein's theory. In fact, Einstein himself in 1935 was the first one to find a wormhole solution of his own equations. A wormhole is a shortcut, like the looking glass of Alice. A shortcut that allows you to go from one point of space or time and another point of space or time. Now, when can we have these, and on what scale are we talking about? Well, as you can see, a wormhole has the energy of a black hole. Therefore, almost by definition, we're talking about Type 3. a Type 3 civilization that can roam the galactic space lanes, has access to galactic energy, and has the power of a black hole. And that is the power to rip the fabric of space and time itself. Now, where are they going to go? Well, one point is to go to other galaxies and other star systems and other sectors of the galaxy itself. So perhaps Star Wars takes place in such a time, thousands of years more advanced than us. But what about going backwards in time? Well, that gets a little bit more dicey. Stephen Hawking, for example, admitted that it may be possible to create a wormhole to go into the future or into another point in space. But to go backwards in time, he thought, may be bordering on impossible. Well, we'll say a few things about that after the break, whether or not a time machine is possible to the past. You're listening to Science Fantastic. Give us a call at 612-564-8135, and we're going to talk about time travel after the break.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
Pain in my neck, back, and shoulders has really gotten worse.
Relief for body pain is here with Sunny Bay heating pads.
Well, the last thing I want is to take another pill, so what's so good about Sunny Bay heating pads?
Sunny Bay heating pads, made by Biomed DB Design right here in the USA, come in all sizes. Our extra large microwavable heating pad for back pain is designed to be large enough to cover your entire back. It's also perfect to wrap around your legs, knees, or shoulder and neck.
But I need to know they're good quality.
Of course, Sunny Bay heating pads and pillows are often an Amazon choice, and it's easy and most affordable when you purchase your Sunny Bay heating pads right from our website, sunshinepillows.com, or call us 253-678-1361.
Hey, a Sunny Bay heating pad
would make a great gift, right?
Yes, and they start at just $19.99 and free shipping is available. So call 253-678-1361 or shop for your Sunny Bay heating pad at sunshinepillows.com.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. And once again, if you want to go to my website, mkaku.org, mkaku.org, you can find out about where I'll be speaking on my book tour and all the latest developments in science and technology. So go to mkaku.org, mkaku.org, and it explains how you can get a copy of my new book, a New York Times bestseller, The Future of Humanity. But before the break, we had a call about the Kardashev scale of advanced civilizations and when we're going to be able to create wormholes. Well, wormholes are gateways through space and time made possible through energy scales of a black hole, meaning that we're probably talking about type 3, a galactic civilization capable of harnessing the power of dying stars and black holes to drill a hole through space and time. These are called wormholes, first pioneered by Albert Einstein himself in 1935 in a famous paper that he wrote with one of his students, Nathan Rosen. And then the question is, can you go forwards in space, like in a spaceship, or backwards in time? Well, Stephen Hawking had a point of view on this. He thought that wormholes to another point in space may be possible. The problem is graviton radiation. Gravitons are particles of light, and if you have enough gravitons, they can become quite dangerous and quite radioactive, and you can blow up the machine. So a wormhole machine may, in some sense, become unstable. Well, Hawking thought that maybe, just maybe, a wormhole machine taking you to a distant point in the galaxy was possible, that it was possible to control the graviton radiation as you entered the wormhole machine. But, he thought, to go backwards into the past, if you do the calculation, it turns out the buildup of graviton radiation blows up, and so maybe the machine explodes as you try to go to the past. Well, I've looked at that calculation, and I'm not convinced. First of all, how do you get the fact that the machine blows up when you go into the past in a wormhole? Because a light beam that falls in the wormhole winds up in the past, and then naturally goes to the present and goes into the wormhole a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. That's why it blows up, because it goes through the wormholes an infinite number of times. But you see, I don't believe in that. I think you can only go through the wormhole basically once, not an infinite number of times, and so there's no contradiction with graviton radiation. Graviton radiation could, in fact, be finite. Now, why do I believe that you can only go maybe once through the wormhole? Because it depends on how you view going backwards in time. I personally think that the universe splits in half. The timeline forks into two rivers. One river takes you through a normal sequence of time, and the other river splits off, forks in the river of time, and that simply creates a new branch of a timeline. So all the paradoxes of time travel are resolved, and there are no infinities, no explosions or blowing up of graviton radiation. And so, in other words, time travel might be possible. I'm not saying it is, because of course the calculation requires going to a higher mathematics called string theory, which is so advanced that we cannot answer the question yet. But in string theory, it's a quantum theory, time splits. And if time splits and you go backwards in time, you do not change your own past, which would create a paradox. You change somebody else's past, who looks like you, has the same mannerisms, but is your carbon copy. And so you've basically changed the fate of a parallel universe, but not your own. Sorry about that. And that resolves all the paradoxes of time travel. With a new outlook, you can read any time travel novel and resolve every paradox if you simply assume that the universe forks into two roads every time you go backwards in time. Okay, let's move right along to the next listener phone call.
Hi, my name is Maria Ahmed. I'm from Orlando, Florida. My question for you was, As we know, 95.1% of the universe is dark matter and dark energy. The rest of the universe is stuff that we can detect, visible light, visible energy. My question was, is it possible that there's an entire universe that's undetected within that dark energy and dark matter? Is it possible? It would be awesome to know. Thanks so much.
Well, you ask a question that's at the cutting edge of what we know about the universe. So let's break it down a bit. As we've mentioned before on this radio show, we used to think that the universe is... Oh, I think we're running out of time in this segment. Well, let's take a short commercial break then, and after the break, we'll answer a question. Is it possible there could be a parallel universe out there hidden in dark energy and dark matter?
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
If you've been in business more than 20 minutes, you've probably printed your logo on all kinds of promotional products. We all know logos work because they're on everything from the top of skyscrapers to the bottom of shoes. Ever wondered why or how to best use your logo to grow your business? Let us show you today for free. We're 4imprint, promotional product experts at your service. We're giving away the latest issue of Amplify, the digital magazine that reveals promotional product success stories absolutely free to everyone who texts UP77 to 88988. At 4imprint, we make your logo look perfect on thousands of promotional items. With our 100% guarantee, it'll be right the first time, on time, every time. Your free e-magazine will reveal invaluable insights that can attract new customers, build your brand, and grow your business. Get the latest issue of Amplify absolutely free by texting UP77 to 88988. That's UP77 to 88988.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Normal blood pressure, naturally. How would that make you feel?
I'm Don from New Mexico. January of 2000, I had a heart attack. Then my real health began going downhill. I had high blood pressure, diabetes, poor vision. I wasn't sleeping well. I was a mess.
Don reports dramatic improvements with Heart and Body Extract.
I started taking Heart and Body Extract. From within a few days, I started sleeping better. My blood pressure normalized. My diabetes normalized. My sleep improved.
Experience these benefits and more when your body heals itself with the assistance of Heart and Body Extract. Order at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305. That's hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305.
And folks, I did not expect this at all. By the 7th, 8th, and 9th day, I saw dramatic improvements from taking Heart and Body Extract.
Heart and Body Extract comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
Bacon lovers, we ship free. Try our amazing bacon. No refrigeration required. Proprietary value-added packaging provides 10-year shelf life and protects the leanest, thickest, center-cut, fully cooked bacon in America today. Ready to eat right from the pouch or warm and serve. Savory and delicious. Wholesale price for your everyday use. Order today at readytoeatbacon.com. readytoeatbacon.com.
Brought to you by Professor Michio Kaku. This is Science Fantastic.
Welcome back to Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. The lines are open. You can give us a call at 612-564-8135. Because why should we scientists have all the fun? We have all the fun probing the mysteries of the universe and matter and space and time and our bodies. Why should we have all the fun? Why don't you join in, be part of the dialogue by calling 612-564-8135. And all we ask is that you leave your name, call letters of the radio station if you're listening to one, and the city you're calling from, and maybe you can get on Science Fantastic. Well, before the break, we had a question, and that is, the universe we now know is much stranger than we previously thought. It is basically made out of dark energy, which is blowing the universe apart, and dark matter, which holds the galaxy together. Both are invisible, and both have led to Nobel Prizes. So the question is, if dark matter is dark and can hide things, could it basically hide a parallel universe? Well, probably no. However, it does raise some very intriguing questions. First of all, how do we even know there's dark matter out there? By looking at Newton's law of gravity, we know that the galaxy spins, but it spins 10 times too fast. If you take a look at Newton's laws of spin and calculate the centrifugal force of a galaxy spinning very rapidly, you find that it should fly apart. Therefore, something is keeping the galaxies together, even if Newton says they are flying so fast they should fly apart. And that's dark matter. So we use gravity to indirectly prove the existence of dark matter. Now, then the caller asked another question. If dark matter is invisible, is it possible that it's concealing something, like maybe another parallel universe? And the answer to that is probably no, because a parallel universe would have a lot of gravity. And gravity is how we even prove the existence of dark matter to begin with, because dark matter is invisible. Therefore, we see no presence of a parallel universe hiding inside the dark matter. However, there have been some surprises just in the last few years. One surprise announced just a few weeks ago was the fact that we can now have galaxies that are totally made out of dark matter, or galaxies totally made out of ordinary matter without the other. We used to think that dark matter and ordinary matter had to come together. But now we find that you can have ordinary galaxies with ordinary matter without that much dark matter at all, and vice versa. And so we're now realizing that the universe is a lot more mysterious than we previously thought. I should mention, however, that the leading candidate for dark matter is that it's a higher vibration of the string. We are the lowest octave of the string, but there are higher vibrations. The photon has a higher vibration. Its partner is called the photino, or little photon for short. And we think that is the leading candidate for what dark matter is made of. However, the question is more sophisticated than you realize, because in inflation theory, which is also a version of the Big Bang Theory, inflation happens all the time at different points in the universe. So in some principle, it's possible to have universes inside universes, universes budding off other universes like a soap bubble, budding off other soap bubbles. And so then it's not so surprising if you can get a universe hiding inside dark matter. Okay, well, let's move on to the next listener phone call.
Richard Kelleher, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and my question is, I just read that the longest recorded electrical pulses from a dead brain were 10 days. How long does a brain consciousness last after death?
Well, you ask a very important question, a question, of course, that is a subject of not just doctors, but also ethicists, because the question is, when the brain dies, but the body survives, are you really dead at all? Well, first of all, it's usually considered that in a period of 4 to 6 minutes, brain tissues start to die because of lack of oxygen. And by the time 8 minutes have gone by, you are most likely suffering from a version of brain death. That is, neurons start to die. And after that, you are probably clinically brain dead. In other words, the EEG, the electroencephalograph, picks up no evidence of electrical activity, even though the body may still be intact. And this, of course, raises many ethical questions. Sometimes people in a coma, like, for example, because of illness or a car accident, could be brain dead, but their body is still alive. And then the question is it possible, therefore, they could be revived after being brain dead? And you ask an even different question. What happens under certain rare circumstances, like, for example, when the body is cold, the body can survive much longer in a state of suspended animation. So let's try to break it down really quick. And that is medical ethicists are still debating after the case of Ms. Shivo, who was brain dead, but the relatives clung to the possibility that she could be revived, even though most doctors believe that there was no chance of her coming back because there was simply too much damage to brain tissue. Now, it turns out that some people in comas do come out. However, they are not totally brain dead. If you are totally brain dead with no electrical activity, chances are you're not going to be able to be brought back. However, this is an area which is very fuzzy because, of course, it all depends on how you define brain dead. And if somebody, for example, falls in a lake, in a frozen lake, then it's possible the person could survive much longer because of the cold, which stops the degeneration of brain activity. So this is still a frontier question. Well, unfortunately, that's it for Science Fantastic. Once again, every week on Science Fantastic, you can explore the cutting edge of science with me by calling 612-564-8135. Leave your name, call letters of the radio station you're listening to, and the city you're calling from, and bingo, you might get on Science Fantastic.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens, and we're proud to promote amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Visit gcnlife.com for products like Luminesse. The Luminesse anti-aging skincare line restores youthful vitality and radiance to your skin, reducing the appearances of fine lines and wrinkles with stem cell technology. There's also Instantly Ageless, which works within 2 minutes, reducing under-eye bags, fine lines, wrinkles, and pores. Jeunesse has products to help you with how you look and feel in a very short time. Nobel-nominated Dr. Vincent Jampapa has designed several products helping the body perform better. Jeunesse products have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they're available up to a 25% preferred price discount. See all of the amazing Jeunesse products at gcnlife.com or call toll-free 1-844-443-6637, 1-844-443-6637. 37 37 37 37 37